Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm bringing a download this week. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me as always is your co-host...
Craig, the recording bot.
Trevor Scott.
And Trevor. Our new running joke.
How's it going?
It's going well. We played an awesome session of D&D last night.
We did indeed. And tonight we click pitch. Tonight we click pitch.
We have some slow jams, and this next song is going out to Kevin.
This next click pitch is a request from a listener who is sending it out there to Jessica. God. All right, let's get into
Kevin,
it.
Susie says that she's sorry.
So we talked offline about, because we felt last week's episode went pretty well with the point and click adventure sort of limitation, that maybe this week we'd try a similar thing but with a different sort of style of game. Mm-hmm. Now, we haven't decided on one ahead of time.
Nope.
So we are going to... Well, are we each going to suggest one and we'll choose it? But we'll discuss it and choose it? Or are we going to 3, 2, 1 countdown and say it together and just see what happens?
I reckon we've got to go 3, 2, 1 countdown and see what happens.
All right, let's just do that. Okay. Ready? You got it in your head?
Yep. Got it in my head.
3, 2, 1. Puzzle
Platforming.
Game. All right, puzzle game or platforming or a puzzle platformer.
Yep. Let me just give a little bit of a background as to why I chose platforming. It's because I'm playing Castlevania at the moment and absolutely loving going through some of the older Castlevanias.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And realizing that some of my new favorite games, like, Shovel Knight and Dead Cells and those sort of things, really, really, really steal from some of these old games.
Of course. Well, steal, that's a strong word. They're inspired.
Borrow heavily.
It's an homage.
There was a part
Remix.
of Aria of Sorrow that I was just playing, which is a Game Boy Advance game, and I'm like, oh, this is literally Dead Cells. Like, parts of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now I know exactly where they got the aesthetic for this particular level from.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. So, shall we use the both of them? Shall we try to either one or the other or both?
Yeah, one or the other or both. I reckon that's a fair.
Yeah, we'll aim for both, but if it just ends up being one or the other, a puzzle platformer is a fairly narrow band, and that's an interesting limitation. But if we can't quite make it puzzly enough, or whatever, or if there's a really good just non-platforming puzzle idea that we come up with, yeah, why not? This is improv, baby.
It's been way too long. This intro's gone long enough already.
Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
just get started. So, Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator. On the count of 3, 2, 1, click. We're going to press refresh, take those words, throw them at each other, come up with a game design, including puzzling or platforming. Then, when it doesn't work, we'll throw it away, do it all over again for about an hour.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, click.
Building
Clash.
Okay.
Why do I get the feeling that I just want to see, anthropomorphic buildings running?
I mean, I thought of that. So, well, you just gave me an idea, which was, do you remember the classic endless runner, Canabalt?
Yes.
Which kind of, did that start the whole, I keep saying instant runner, the whole endless runner genre? I don't know.
May have. Let's have a look first. Not fist. First, endless runner. Canabalt.
Yeah.
It is considered the first in this type of gaming genre.
Wow. So for those who haven't played it, this was a very stylish sort of pixel art game that had a man in a business suit who just at the beginning of the game smashes out of a window and is just running across rooftops and running through windows and as far as you can go. So when you said buildings running, I had the idea of a similar sort of game where there's a guy running across the tops of the buildings, but you're not controlling the guy. You're controlling the buildings somehow to make sure that the guy can get across. Now, I'm not sure.
Sort of like a puzzle game in which you've got X number of buildings and you've got to sort of pull them down to basically see if the guy can jump onto the next one, and basically you're building the stage. but you've only got X number of buildings, so sometimes you've got to steal from like ones that you've already put down and move them forward and that sort of stuff.
So I hadn't gone that far. I was still almost, funnily enough, in the platformer sense as well. Like you said, these buildings are kind of running around. Maybe it's the building that he's on is the one you control. And so...
Okay, so the question is, are you trying to stop the runner or are you trying to...
No, I think you're trying to help
the runner.
I think you're trying to help the runner.
Because I don't know, having a game in which, you know, you're the level of the endless runner and you're trying to actually destroy the endless runner.
Oh, I see. Well, that could be interesting too. Well, let's come back to that if we can't think of a good way to help them. But what I was thinking of with helping them is like, if you're the building, because I can picture scenes where it's like, okay, the runner ends up on this building. It's like, okay, now you're controlling this building. It quickly like gets up on its little legs and you can move left and right. You can jump, which may kind of I don't know if that would launch the runner or it would just obviously give the runner then a higher point. Like, I think there's a timing aspect that when the runner gets to the edge of the building you are currently controlling, they're going to jump. So you have to make sure that they're going to make that jump to something.
If you are trying to help them, then yes.
Yeah. Well, let's stick with helping and see where we get with that. And because I'm thinking you can, you've got a bunch of buildings and the runner lands on one and you can sort of see coming up that the next building, there's a window, but he's not going to make it. So either because the gap's too big or, it's too high up or both. Mm-hmm. And so it almost is a bit of, it's like an endless build. Like you might only see one or two buildings ahead.
Yep.
And so you see that window coming. It's like, oh crap. Okay. I need to move this building a little bit closer. And then right when when they're about to jump, I need to jump so that the jump they do is going to take them sailing through that gap, through that window onto the next building. And then you're playing that building and you're looking ahead to the next one. It's like, okay, how am I going to have them make this next jump?
And then all of a sudden you realize that there's a helicopter in between this building and the next one, and the blades are like really, really, really sharp. So you have to set off the TNT that you got on this one to start collapsing the building, so it goes down below the exactly. Like
and maybe
the
you have
blades.
To choose.
The guy can jump out, run through the helicopter, and jump to the next building,
or like swing off the bottom of it or something, or grab onto the bottom. Exactly. Like maybe you have to choose which level to start the district, like of yourself, of the building you're controlling, to start the demolition at that it's going to collapse down to. I feel like there could be some interesting things there. And look, it could be that, I mean, as the endless runner, you probably would keep it going, but there could be ways to slow the runner, to turn them around, or, temporarily stop them, or, I don't know, launch them, or different things, to give you a bit of breathing room, or to, or to navigate the different types of obstacles. And of course, I'm picturing it very Canabalt-ish at the moment, but like, it's basically Canabalt, but you're playing the buildings.
Canabalt 2.
Now you're the building. Now it's brick. No, I don't know.
Now it's not personal. It's building all.
Yes. Now you're not a person. Did you have ideas around stopping the runner? I feel like that'd just be too easy, like a building.
Well, I'm not thinking that the building necessarily has, each building has like its little things. I'm not thinking that the building has complete control over the fact that, you can rise up or anything like that. I'm thinking what you've got is something like in the original Canabalt, you had like the TNT, you had, as in a building would start to collapse as you're going. It's all about, can you do something to stop the runner or slow them down at least a bit? So, can you cause some like shocks to knock down some boxes to make some obstacles? Set up like, on this building coming up, I've got a fan, that's going to blow them back a bit.
So sort of, how far ahead are you able to place
one or two
these
buildings?
things?
I'm thinking it's sort of like you're on the screen and all you can do is sort of like place down little objects to try and slow down the runner.
Yeah, I could see that.
Then again,
I could see that working.
It could be one of those things where, you didn't do a whole heap of things on the first few buildings, and then all of a sudden it's like, I just put like 15 boxes stacked up high, and the guy ran into him and fell off the side of the building.
It'd be fun to watch at the very least.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking that the helping the Endless Runner is the way to go in this.
Well, either way, let's click again.
Yes.
3, 2, 1, click. Postcard.
County.
So the problem with having the two genres is my mind like flicks back and forth between different ideas. Like, which one am I going to choose? Or how can we combine them?
So I'm thinking, like, when I hear county, I sort of think like a Sunday drive or something like that through the countryside, but, you know, going to lots of little counties along the way for like picnics and stuff. And what do you do in counties quite often? You buy postcards if you're on a trip to send to other people. So I'm thinking that it could be some sort of puzzle game based around picnics, and each sort of map that you're on is basically you're gradually unlocking a postcard that you then move on to the next level.
Like
kind of like a
each
Candy Crush
section is going to be a full postcard. Like, so that's your prize.
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically it's the bling that you can say, look at how many counties I've visited.
Yeah. I've got 3.5 postcards, and you can send them onto Twitter when you solve them. Yeah, okay, that's cool. So picnic-based puzzle gameplay, basically.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like it's something around ants stealing, like preventing ants from stealing food.
Yeah, so I'm sort of seeing almost a tower defense sort of game in which you're setting up, like, you got to set up your picnic, but also set up your defenses as to how you're going to stop stop at first the ants coming, and then after a few levels of that, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you got big bull ants as well, and now you got flying ants, and now you got bees that come in and flies.
Yeah, fucking wasps. They're the bane of any picnic. Yeah, a tower defense kind of thing is interesting. When I think puzzle game, I definitely think a bit sort of more, very much system based sort of. I don't know. I'm picturing some sort of turn based thing, and this is definitely because I've just been playing Into the Breach, which has kind of wasp-like creatures, but where you've got a certain amount of turns to sort of counter the attacks of different things. It's like, that the ants are coming this way, and they're going to take about this amount of time, and they're going to, because they're aiming for that cracker, and they're going to pick it up and start to move it. But I can use that to my advantage, because if they move that cracker, it's going to block, the movement of the bull ant, who will go around whose instinct is to go around food items, because they're just trying to get to the people and like bite them for some reason, because they're bull ants. That's that sort of thing. Where you're sort of more trying to use the different elements that you have to your advantage. So
have you ever seen the games based around, like, I know there was a couple of different ones, like there was one called Puzzle Fighter, which was basically a match 3 game with like Street Fighter characters having fights and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
I kind of like the idea of a tower defense game with a match 3 sort of thing for powering it up. Okay. All right. So, if you need to give extra power to, say, like the blue bug zapper, then you need to be matching blue icons, and then you could have each of the items sort of color coded to say, okay, this is where we need more power, and okay, that could be interesting. So you've got your first phase where all right, I'm starting to see how that could work. I like that idea. Yeah. Because I'm thinking, so you're like setting up your tower defense, but now you need to power it, and that's powered by matching 3. Well, and I think would it still be turn based? I mean, I think it would be, as in like you match something and stuff happens, and then you've got a certain amount of time to make the next move. I don't think they're like marching on while you're trying to make the match necessarily. Yeah, I think it's if they are marching on, it's a slow march. Yeah. Sort of thing. Because I'm also thinking you can have like, match 3 coins, and you're going to get more resources to buy extra towers. But, if you're not matching enough other stuff, they're not going to be powered. It's match 3 sandwiches, and you get to take a bite. Right. And you might have goals of, you need to eat enough of your picnic to enjoy yourself. 3 glasses of wine to get you to drink some wine. Yeah. Okay. But of course, you match too many wines, and so I'm thinking maybe like three different types of like defense types,
Because I'm just, you obviously, you can't have too many colors in there or match things in there or you're never going to match anything. But, and then probably one resource-based one and then one food-based one. Yeah.
And depending on the course of the food, depends on what food item actually appears. So
yeah. And that can kind of just like be aesthetics. You know, it's a romantic twilight picnic where someone's going to propose. And so you've got champagne. And strawberries dipped in chocolate or something.
Yeah.
Or it's a kid's picnic and you've got fucking fairy bread.
Fuck yeah.
Vegemite sandwiches. Yeah, I can see it working really quite well. That's an interesting mix of those different genres. I'm trying to think if there are any sort of additional wrinkles we can put in there. What sort of match 3 do you like? Is it... Because there are, well, it's not always necessarily match 3, because there are the ones where it's like, you know, draw a path between matching ones and you have to do at least 3, but you can power up and do even more. Or it's like switch to,
I do like the switch to Candy Crush Bejeweled thing.
Yeah. So you can get up to 5 basically.
Yeah, I don't like the ones where you just select the color and it just pops all the ones of that color. Like it's like
that seems like a waste of time.
Yep.
All right, so classic Candy Crush Bejeweled style. Switch to
or the path,
things.
depending on. I mean, why not have both of those? You know, the path style for different levels, like
for
maybe a
levels.
boss level or something like that.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, yeah, the path one works a bit more. I think the path one works a bit better for, well, I'm trying to think. Because I always played Bejeweled, like the one where you just had 2 minutes and you had to get the highest score. So it was always like, do it as fast as you can. Get as high, you know, as many cascades as you can.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I'm thinking that the one where you drag to make as long a match as you can, that's more strategic in that, like maybe time pauses in between, and it's about just making the best
selection.
Deciding which set of things to move to set up your next move. Well, I wonder which one of them is better for a boss and which one is better for the regular kind of level.
Well, I think the boss is where you're going to want a little bit more strategy. So that's why I think the path drawing.
Yeah, and so you're still setting up towers, and it's just about like which. Because I guess that makes sense. Because in a general one, you've got a bunch of towers and you're really just trying to keep them all as powered up as possible. Whereas the boss one, maybe it's a bit more of a, you know, they're close to this tower, so I need more juice over there.
I mean, the way I was sort of thinking of the boss, could go a little bit different depending on each sort of level that's come before it. So like the first level, it's insects. But then the second postcard that you're going for, like, you've had a bit too much to drink, and it's the cop on the on the drive sort of thing. So now
that's the
you've
boss.
It's the boss. It's basically, you know, you now got to strategize getting away from them. And then on another one, you know, it's like a Twilight one, and there's like a serial killer that comes by.
God.
You know,
yeah, of course.
You can have different sort of like vignettes like that as a final boss, just to break it up a bit.
Yeah.
For the kids' picnic, you could have like the bully who wasn't invited to the party comes along and starts, you know, kicking through like sandcastles or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, well, the beach picnic, then the boss is just sand in your butt crack. All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
You didn't want me to go to the last picnic that I was going to talk about, did you?
I don't know. Was it funny?
It was sexy.
A sexy picnic. Sex picnic. Yeah, okay. 3, 2, 1, click.
Physicist.
Mate. Are you a physicist trying to find a mate through physics? It's like a Portal spin-off.
Yeah, I'm picturing that like kind of like the Aperture Science, the way that they built it up in the second one, where all of a sudden Cave Johnson is part of the crew. This time it's like the Australian offshoot, and it's talking about some other sort of physics thing. Like,
So are we making a Portal sequel here? Is this Portal 3?
I think it's a Portal sequel because
All right.
you brought up Portal, and I'm like, yeah, that's just perfect because it was physics in that.
Yes. Yeah. And look, it's platforming, it's puzzling.
I'm trying to see how quantum entanglement could come in because I kind of like that idea.
Well, maybe there is some. I like the idea of using mate as it being like the Downunder aperture down under.
Yeah.
Your Downunder Aperture. But maybe
title of the episode.
maybe mate can also be around having a partner. And maybe the quantum entanglement can be around, you can either, there are some puzzles that involve you like switching places with them or, you know, some of those types of puzzles where it's like, when I move backwards, they move forwards and that sort of thing. And I know they did a bit of like, obviously they did the whole, what was it, Atlas and, what was the other robot's name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, they did the co-op stuff in Portal 2, but this is the mate is not another player. This is single player still, but it's all around these puzzles.
Like
these puzzles are involving
of
kind of another being.
A 3D version of Braid, basically.
Yeah, perhaps, or
which has the different mechanics, but it's in 3D this time.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, Portal and Braid have similarities in that it's sort of you're building up your different mechanics and having to use them. Well, I guess Braid was a bit more per world, wasn't it? You had different time-based mechanics. But although time-based stuff in Portal could be interesting too. I do want to explore this because I really want to, like, one of the great things that Portal 2 did was manage to keep it still really Portal-like, but brought in a bunch of new mechanics. With like the bouncing and the different goo types.
The speeds and...
Yeah. And like
the white goo that could actually create like portable surfaces.
Exactly. Yeah. That really, opened it up. And just like the sort of, the transport, laser things and, that would send you sort of slowly in one direction and you could turn them on and off and the bridges and stuff. Like they really expanded that out. So yeah, it'd be interesting to think of, so we're in Aperture Down Under, the head scientist here, John Caveson, has, I guess is GLaDOS like on holiday? Is she still part of it?
Well, I think GLaDOS is part of it, but given that GLaDOS is a artificial, intelligence,
is it a
who can
backup?
pretty much be anywhere.
Maybe it's a backup of GLaDOS. That could be interesting. So she doesn't necessarily know what was happening in like the main facility.
Okay.
And also she has, been stored on Australian servers, and so she's got a bit of an accent, and picked up some Australianisms.
Yep, by Jingo and Crikey and...
Oh, yeah, you think it's just like all the stuff that Americans think we say.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
Throw another shrimp on the Barbie.
Throw another shell on the Barbie.
That's not a knife, this is a knife.
That's not a portal. This is a portal. That could be... All right, and let's think of some new portal mechanics. And when you said that, and I think other games have maybe done this, but what if you could increase or decrease the size of the portals? But also, depending on the ratio between the entry and exit portal, whatever goes through them changes size.
Ooh, so in other words, you can send like a massive car through a big one and it turns into a small car if it goes through like a normal size portal.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
That could be really interesting to have some really interesting puzzles there around having to...
That you need a heavier cube, so you send a small cube through a small portal to a big portal and then... Yeah, exactly. And then obviously you can send yourself through a big portal, and then come out a regular size portal, but now you're going to be small, sort of thing. What I kind of like is that there's, I don't know, some rules around if you go through a portal like that, you've only got a certain time limit before, like, something brings you back down to size. Like, so basically, you can't stay tiny forever.
Or
you can't
that's
stay
true.
huge forever.
In fact, it might even be worth in that situation just keeping it to objects.
Yeah, just objects. So you find out early on that, you try to go through and it's like, yeah, you come out normal.
Yeah, or maybe there might be a little, you could have a funny sequence at the beginning where it does start affecting you, but then, GLaDOS. This is the Aussie GLaDOS.
With the Z.
Yeah. Like forces you to or like recalibrates them or either that or like puts something on you that makes it so that it doesn't affect you, like it neutralizes the effects, the size changing effects on humans, or on you. But yeah, then I can really imagine some really cool puzzles around larger or smaller cubes or turrets or whatever else.
Finding a toothpick that you can send through like this small portal into this massive one, and all of a sudden it's a beam that you can walk across, sort of thing.
Yeah,
that could be really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the idea of having like the gravity gun from the Half-Life universe, so that the idea of being able to pick up something that big is actually still possible.
Perhaps. Although I do still like the purity of literally your only controls in Portal are your portals, and I mean I guess you can grab stuff, but I feel like being able to manipulate huge things would almost give you a bit too much power. I think it would have to revolve more around you just need to put the portal in the right spot. You just have to
then throw this massive thing into a portal.
Yeah, and you just have to do that. And look, the Portal games cheat a bunch in that as long as you've put the portal in the right spot, it'll alter the way something comes out of it so that it lands in the right spot, even if the way you threw it in wasn't quite right or whatever. So you could tweak that sort of thing. So at least as long as you've got your giant portal on the roof at about the right spot,
dropping that toothpick in
is gonna at least put it so that it's not gonna just randomly have some impulse, rotational impulse or something that's gonna mean that you can't actually get across it. I know they did that a lot with the flinging physics in Portal. Like they alter your trajectory on the way out so that you land in the right spot and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Probably has a look at, okay, this is how far you should be able to be flung. Okay, therefore we're going to allow you to go here.
Yeah, I think they give you an ideal trajectory out of a portal, and so as long as you go into it with about the right amount of inertia, then it just kind of speeds you up or slows you down enough to land on your right platform and that sort of thing. So
yeah,
you can tweak that.
Cool.
I do still kind of like the idea of some sort of, like you said, quantum entanglement or I don't know, like altering, maybe instead of, because they had those, like I said, like those gravity altering fields in Portal 2 that you kind of get stuck in and flow along.
They got dimensional altering fields?
Yeah, that kind of like, if you're in that field, time's moving backwards, or maybe not time's moving backwards, but, you could have some of those, you could start bringing in some of those puzzles where it's like, it repeats a segment of time or something. So, you have to do two things simultaneously, like press two buttons simultaneously, but you've only got, one crate.
One cube to go on two different buttons and something that you got to stand on.
But one of those buttons is in a time loop field. And so you notice that you go in there, you put it down, you pick it up, you come back out, and then you see yourself go in there again, put it down, pick it up, come out, go in there, put it down, pick it up, come out, and you then have to time it on the other button right to open the door.
Yeah.
Right? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what's so good about the Portal games is they take just those very basic, like relatively basic mechanics and then just twist them into a variety of combinations and really explore that possibility space, just for those simple things and how they can combine and then have some sort of awesome story there around why GLaDOS is building experiments again out in the outback or something.
Okay. Snap poll on the count of 3, 2, 1. I want you to say 1 for Portal 1 or 2 for Portal 2 as to which one's your favourite.
All right.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go. 2.
Go.
Yeah.
No, I think they improved upon, Portal
Everything.
itself. Yeah, exactly. Portal itself was amazing, but was basically an experiment,
Yeah.
They shoved it in the orange box, with Half-Life 2 and Team Fortress 2? No, Team Fortress.
Team Fortress 2.
Team Fortress 2? Yeah. Whereas, like Portal 2, I remember playing that and the story was so much richer and they'd added all those different puzzle mechanics and it felt like a real game, you know.
And even then, the hype leading up to it with the potato sack and all that sort of stuff was just...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I really miss Steam doing those huge events where you weren't just winning fucking trading cards. Like, you could win, you know, credits for games and stuff. And
well, one of my favorite things about that was everyone was putting in hours into the potato sack games to get the game to be released earlier.
Yeah.
Like, if they got X number of potatoes found and all this sort of stuff. Like,
I mean, look, it was an incredibly ambitious ARG, and they had, I don't know, how many indie developers and stuff literally alter their game to add potato-related content. Obviously, they can't do that for, you know, every sale or whatever. Yeah.
Like, the fact that, like, they didn't even say that this is for Portal 2. They basically came out and said, yep, potato sack. It had nothing to do with Portal until you played Portal 2 and you realized that, the GLaDOS becomes a potato.
Part of it, yeah.
Spoiler.
Spoiler for a nearly 10-year-old game. Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. Portal 3. Valve, fucking make a third game in a series for once. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yep. 3, 2, 1, click. Month.
Grip.
Okay, so I'm thinking, rather than, like, the month itself, I'm thinking of taking, like, the basis for the months and all that sort of stuff. So, like, August, January, all those sort of things have some sort of background in,
as in why they're named like, that.
Yeah, kind of like if you look at if you look at say the days of the week, Thursday. Well, it was Thor's Day, as in for Thor, sort of thing. So I'm thinking, you know, June was, I'm pretty sure, like a goddess or something like that.
Okay, and then when does Grip come into it?
It's like a puzzle platformer with like gripping mechanics.
Right, like attaching to walls. Right, so you're thinking of kind of months, the origins of naming the months as like the setting, and then Grip being something around the gameplay of a platformer. Okay, let's see here.
June ultimately comes from the Latin
Juno,
of Juno, referring to the Roman goddess. So, yeah, I like the idea of that. Pretty much all these different months come from these gods and goddesses. We don't have to go through every single one, but I don't know, because we're in June right now. I kind of like the idea that.
Well, so here's the thing.
Your lead character for the game is Juno.
Well, because here's what I'm looking at, right? January is the god of the doors, apparently. Janus.
Mm-hmm.
March is Mars, god of war. May is Maya, goddess of growth. And June is Juno, the queen of the gods. The others are July and August for Julius Caesar and Augustus, because they added those couple of months in there. September, October, November, December are just because they ran out of fucking gods somehow, and it's just 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's actually kind of funny.
Yeah. And then you've got February, which apparently means purify, because that was their month of sacrifice and purification. And April, which means open, and that's just because that's when the trees open their leaves. So you've got Julius Caesar and you've got some gods.
Yep.
I feel like there's a story there.
The true story of the
true story of how Julius Caesar managed to shove a couple months into the calendar. Maybe he like literally made the year longer. Maybe this is like a kind of, you know, a legendary story of, and I don't think it's actually Julius Caesar. I think he's still taking credit for someone else. Like, we'll come up with a character. But under the name of Julius Caesar, someone fought the gods to like add more time to the year.
Yeah, I kind of like this as like a God of War style platformy.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, exactly.
Like, because I'm picturing these gods are like huge titan sort of things, and there's like lots of boss battles throughout.
Well, maybe this is a Shadow of the Colossus-esque platformer. And for some reason, you said platformer, and my mind constantly goes to 2D platformers, and maybe it's because you mentioned Castlevania, or maybe it's because I played a lot of Apogee games. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. Although a Shadow of the Colossus style thing, like as in moving platforms on giant titans in a more 2D, maybe retro-ish, pixel art-ish sort of style, could be cool.
Kind of like that idea. You could have it very Metroidvania, sort of like, sort of going across different sort of zones. And then when you get to the certain part of the zone, depending on the
erogenous zone of this Titan,
depending on what you've actually done so far, whether the Titan comes to life and therefore you can start climbing or whatever.
That's interesting. Oh, I like that idea. You've got a few areas opened up to like that plays into the Metroidvania. You've got a few areas opened up to start with, but then when you like awaken the Titan, for one, now you've got access to some other areas because they've shifted around. But two, those original areas you were in might be in different places, or they might be moving. Like if you were climbing across this
original area that you climbed through was actually on the Titan's back. Yeah, and the Titan's now standing up, and therefore that area that you went through is now kind of barren and is almost like a fast travel zone now.
Yeah, or it's shifted. It's rotated. Like the Titan is
rotated 90
down,
degrees,
and
so
now
it's vertical.
Up. And so it's completely different, but you're still recognizing the spaces you went through.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Okay, so what is this character you play? What sort of skills are they going to get? Because obviously in this sort of game, and I'm picturing a very Ori in the Blind Forest kind of Hollow Knight kind of sort of thing where you're picking up skills as you go along and that sort of stuff.
It's pretty much like even Guacamelee. It's got that lots of different moves that you can unlock as you go.
And you end up you end up with fucking 20 of them that somehow, because you've got them one by one, you know how to use every single one. Because as an aside, we played. Was it the first Guacamelee we were playing through?
Yeah, it was the first Guacamelee at a boys' weekend.
At a boys' weekend, where I think three of us were playing through it, and then one of our friends came in to join a bit late, and they had no fucking idea what was going on, and we couldn't explain it to them.
They played like 3 hours before. Like it's not like they hadn't ever played the game before.
No. It wasn't just the basic mechanics or anything. It's just we'd gained so many different attacks and powers and different types of attacks, and like go into the Shadow World and do this and jump there and come out of the Shadow World, and then you have to use this attack because their shields are blue, and like it's
amazing at how much we actually learnt. Like and
look,
it was just natural by the time that we got
there. Well, but yeah, that anyway,
I did really love that game.
Yeah, it is good.
I played through Guacamelee 2 almost all the way through again.
I don't think I played the second. I think
it's got more chicken segments, which is only good.
I think it's on Game Pass, so maybe I will grab it. Anyway, probably cut all that. Well, except for the stuff. Anyway, cut the last little bit. So, Powers character. Julius Caesar decides he wants more time for vomitoriums and debauchery.
Mm-hmm.
And so needs to add another 60 days to the year. And sends who to find the gods and,
Okay. I'm thinking it's got to be Brutus.
Okay.
As in et tu Brutus.
I don't know enough about the history of Rome to know what... I mean, I know that in that case, Brutus... Did he kill Caesar?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
at least stabbed him in the back.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I like the idea of, if you know your Roman history and all that sort of stuff, so you know that your character is the one that, totally fucks Caesar up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're almost waiting for that to come into play.
Yeah.
But I believe, Brutus was actually a friend of Julius Caesar.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and that's kind of the whole act too, right? He didn't expect it. Okay. So you play Brutus. See, you chose Brutus, and now I need to know enough about Brutus to be able to turn him into a video game character, as opposed to some rando that he pulled off the street.
Well, Brutus, it's called here as Brutus the Younger.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm picturing that when he was a bit younger, like said that he was a politician of the late Roman Republic,
married his cousin. Yeah.
But I'm picturing that this is like the untold story. The
untold story of Brutus giving Caesar his extra days before he took the rest of his days from him.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, powers and stuff. We're talking about, well, we said grip. And the reason grip made me think of Shadow of the Colossus is just like how in that game you hold onto like the hair a Titan, of a Colossus. So we could have elements of that, of like, I kind of like the idea of being able to like climb walls, but you've got, like a stamina bar kind of thing. And of course, as you go on, you'll be able to increase that so you can then, get up higher walls or hold onto a wall for longer or that sort of thing. To let you get into different areas. Maybe he like uses his fucking daggers to climb the walls. He like sticks his knife in, holds it in there. And again,
that'd be really cool.
That could also mean you could only do it on certain surfaces.
Yeah.
And so again, more skills might mean, now you can grip onto this surface, because you got something else, different type of.
Yeah. So an early sort of surface is like a great sort of surface. And then,
or really just anything
like smaller
porous,
holes
porous enough that he'd be able to put his knife into it. And you can just, obviously with the graphic design, you'd make that clear. But then later on, you get a different weapon or you get something else that lets you climb the harder, slicker walls. So that would
I kind of like the idea of like a suction cup or something like that he gets. And
I
it's like
thought of that, and then I thought it wasn't quite on theme, but something like that. But that's cool. I like that. And so he makes his way across these Titans. Are there multiple Titans? I like the idea of there being almost a time-based element where you have to get to know the level well enough because it's moving, right? And you need to, do something on the shoulder which makes the Titan like lift their hand. But while it's lifting it, you have to be platforming across the arm, across the hand to get to their hand as it reaches a thing, so you can jump into the next level kind of thing, like onto the next Titan or onto something that you're aiming for. And that might.
So are they stealing time from each of these Titans? So
that could be cool.
They're basically trying to get 60 days worth of time.
Yeah.
So you sort of like, I know, I'm picturing that like each of these, 6 or 7 Titans or so have like 5 different days each or something like that. However many
the math works
we can
out.
sort of work it out.
For sure. Yeah, I like that. You're stealing days from each of them. And maybe you've got some sort of divine tool that can take it out of them, but you have to reach their, I don't know, chronosphere. Whatever. They're fucking
I'm picturing
MacGuffin.
that there's like this big, right near the start of the game, like the first time that you get on a Titan, there's like this massive roc's feather or something like that you got to tickle the Titan to get them to move or something like that, or sneeze that then opens up the level.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing, different ways of waking each of them up.
There's a ton of stuff you can do. Yeah. It's a really, it's a rich vein.
Yes.
But so I think you go through, you get the 60 days, you get back to Caesar, and he's like, all right, and I will deem the next 2 months July for Julius Caesar and August for my friend Augustus. And Brutus is like, fuck
and
you.
And then Brutus stabs him in the back. It goes to climb up him.
I was also thinking,
Julius turns around and you see like that same sort of thing on his back that you know that you can stick your knife in and climb.
Right. It's the game's trained you at this point. Or I also like that you get to the end and it's like, all right, you got the 60 days. We have July and August. Now who's going to do it next year? It's like only for the year. You have to steal it from the Titans each time.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. 3 to 1 click.
3 to 1 click.
Camera.
Successor.
Camera and successor. Is that what you said?
So I'm picturing that the successor to a camera is like, kind of like in the Harry Potter world where like the photos come to life.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We could go that way. I definitely like the idea of some sort of puzzle game around photos and cameras. Where the successor is taking cameras to the next level, or that's just kind of a story hook of you are like your mentor has died and you're trying to like complete their life's work or something.
Of taking photos of like the 7 great wonders of the world.
The 77 great wonders of the world, yes. Just to pad the game out.
And each time that you take a photo of it, it totally gets destroyed, and then it's like there's only 7 left after you've finished.
Well, no, I was trying to. What intrigued me more was a puzzle game around cameras, around photos, and how that would work. Like what are you kind of?
I'm thinking like
what's your puzzle space? You know,
almost like a Dan Brown-esque mystery going on in the background. Kind of like, you know, the Da Vinci Code or something along those sort of lines, to do with the wonders of the world. Because I still like that.
You like the wonders
that idea.
The natural wonders or the man-made wonders?
If
it's Da Vinci Code, it's probably man-made.
Man-made. Yep. I'm definitely thinking man-made. I kind of like the idea of then, and you know, as an aside, like it turns out that, you know, the natural and the man-made are actually part of this bigger puzzle as such.
Okay.
Like there's, I don't know, something to do with ley lines or something like that.
Right. All right. So this is becoming a bit more of a, like, are you taking these photos?
Yeah. And I think it's like a Tomb Raider sort of puzzle, platformer with puzzle things.
Okay. All right. I was definitely going much more just like classic straight down the line puzzle game and thinking of how you could use photos for that. But since I didn't come up with any mechanics, this is fine. So interestingly, there are many, like there are no firm 7 wonders of the world in that, like there's a billion different lists.
Yep.
Are we going with the classic 7 wonders of the ancient world?
Yeah, 7 wonders of the ancient world, because I think the Illuminati have something to do with that.
All right. Because literally the only one that still exists of those is the Great Pyramid.
Okay.
So, but that's fine, because it could be around discovering that, oh wait, they do still exist. Or how
They're
were
hidden in plain sight.
Or how they were destroyed, and like someone's trying to destroy the pyramid because it's the last powerful wonder left, or something like that.
Yep.
Because we have the pyramid, we have the Colossus of Rhodes, which was a giant statue.
How's that natural?
No. These are the ancient world. These are the
ancient ones.
Yes. These are the ancient ones.
Yeah, I'm like, all of a sudden, hang on, no, the pyramids aren't natural.
Yeah, the pyramids are natural. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the Statue of Zeus, and the Temple of Artemis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the more current wonders would probably be like the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, well, that's the other option, right? So we've got these vary. There's not a key list here, but it's like the catacombs in Egypt, the Colosseum in Rome, the Great Wall of China, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, Stonehenge, the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul.
I mean, I do like the idea of Stonehenge being involved, and there's like, I don't know, some sort of mystery underneath that. Like, when you take the photos in certain positions, you notice some inscriptions or some carvings that sort of match up to give like an arrow as to where to press or something like that. Yeah, I think that could work really well.
Yeah,
and it's basically just finding these sort of carvings and how they're sort of placed together.
Yeah, I mean, look,
kind of like a cross between a walking sim and a platformer. Sort of thing.
Okay, so you're not thinking go full on sort of Tomb Raider, Uncharted-esque.
No,
which is really more action based with puzzle sequences. Yeah, this is more. It's closer to a puzzler. It's closer to maybe like a Myst, but you have full control. Like you have, like you said, like more of a walking sim. So okay, that's interesting.
Walking sim with exploration. So it's an exploration sim.
What would be interesting to do is even, like, yes, it involves all these things, but maybe you're just setting it in, like, your mentor's house or like a building where, and so it's actually it is more in that walking sim vein of you're finding these photos and you're finding these notes that your mentor has made, and it's much more, It's the stuff that happens in the cutscenes of Uncharted where they like go through their sketches and figure shit out. But this is you figuring it out. And then maybe you can have a cutscene of you doing all the fun shit. And then it comes back and it's like, all right, what's next? What's on the next page?
You're just deducing where to go next, and then the whole thing is a cutscene.
Yeah. Of like gunplay,
that would have
jumping.
been awesome to go through, and it's just back to a static.
It's literally static. It's just missed. Like, it really is missed. It just like clicks between pre-rendered. Well, sorry, we spent our budget on the cutscenes.
But look at this, I'm picturing the trailer shows all this, actual gameplay footage, and it's like, not really, it's it's not even really pre-rendered, it's like it's just artificial intelligence going through and running through the level and doing all the stuff in-game engine. See, we told you that it was in-game engine, it's just, we don't allow you to do anything because we never created any controls for that.
Yeah. We spent all that time apparently making this kick-ass AI that can play our game.
we ran out of money and we thought, automation testing is all the rage nowadays. We made this AI and
we'll release it. All right, I think we've got time for one more quickie.
One more.
3, 2, 1, click. Bother.
Imperative.
The bother imperative. So bother immediately made me think of Winnie the Pooh. Oh, bother. Your Winnie the Pooh is much better than mine. I think we've established that on this show previously. But the bother imperative makes me think of like a Tom Clancy style Winnie the Pooh game.
I'm just picturing
military engagements.
I kind of feel that this is something that we've talked about before, but the idea that, it's like Eeyore, the reason why he's so depressed all the time is because he used to be like this operative.
We definitely had a Winnie the Pooh game. I cannot remember. But yeah.
No, I can't remember either. But I
don't think it was this, so.
I like the idea of, your main character is Eeyore and like the first time you see him, he's like, oh, I don't know. And, all this sort of stuff. Yep. But then it goes back to like 20 years earlier and he's like this colonel or something in this military and he's like
the fucking soft toy military. It's all bloody like fluffies.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that it's I don't know, I keep on going back to the Tom Clancy well of like Ghost Recon or like a Rainbow Six sort of thing.
Yep.
Or Splinter Cell or
I would play the fuck out of a tactical combat game that involves soft toys.
Yeah. Kind of like it turns out that Winnie the Pooh is actually an early part of like the Toy Story universe.
Okay.
So, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, and Eeyore all, were toys of Christopher Robin who broke the toy code and actually talked to Christopher Robin.
Oh, right. So this is a crossover.
It's not really. It's just part of the same universe. It's all owned by Disney, so...
Oh, I just thought you were going to say that they're like fighting Woody and Buzz.
No. This is many years before it, because I'm thinking that this is like, I think the original Winnie the Pooh was set in like the 1940s or something like that.
Yeah. It's early.
The idea that Eeyore is like traveling to Nazi Germany and...
Okay.
It's kind of like a cross between Rainbow Six and Castle Wolfenstein.
All right. So what gameplay are we talking here? Is this like, because the classic Rainbow Six was all set out your plan, right? Like
squad,
plan everything out, tell all your different squad members where they're going to go, set your go points or whatever and then execute. Are we going that sort of line, or is this are we going more down the puzzle route where it's a bit more turn-based, sort of tactical-esque, XCOM-y or that sort of thing?
Well, the later versions of Splinter Cell turned into more platformy stealth.
Oh, Splinter Cell, okay. Platformy stealth. Yeah.
So I like the idea of like traveling through vents and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
because you're a small toy.
Yeah.
Yep. Can squeeze in between these things, but he's like incredibly, incredibly violent.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You're gonna die now.
rips out their throat with his like, I don't know,
Knife.
he takes out the tail and starts spinning it round.
No, because I was going to say, I think this is the story of how he lost the tail, of how it got cut off in the first place.
Okay, because I was going to say, you could, stick the pin into the guy's neck and then just rip down and,
That's true.
blood just splits out
Save
everywhere.
that for the sequel. Because I like the idea of, like, whatever the big boss of this game is, he, like, tears his tail off and that's what, like, then he sends him into a rage and just destroys him. And then just pins it back on himself.
Tom Clancy's Eeyore cell.
Yeah, I don't have anything better, so sure.
So yeah, ultra violence. But yeah, the platforming sort of
Ultra-violence
stuff of sneaking through.
And Pooh Corner, how could you go wrong?
Do you think that along the way, like Eeyore actually, in each level can save one of the
they're all fucking prisoners of war.
One of the other toys from Pooh's Corner sort of thing? Like,
yeah,
turns out that like they're like, I don't know, the toys of like these Nazi kids that have been liberated by Eeyore.
Totally. Which makes Christopher Robin just like this total fucking weirdo who's just got all these Nazi kids' toys, but I like that. I mean, he might not know where they came from, I guess.
No, I'm imagining that they turn up on like Eeyore's like leader's doorstep sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like
Just
the
gives it to
leader's
his
son
kid.
turns out like to be Christopher Robin, and the general or whatever gives the toys to Christopher Robin,
General
knowing where
Robin.
they've come from.
General Robin, I've got another prisoner of war for you. He's just like, oh, fucking Eeyore keeps saving all these goddamn stuffed toys. They're not even alive like he is. I'm not even going to go into why Eeyore is a sentient creature in this, but yeah, I like it. That's cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
All right. Well, I think we'll finish it up there for this week.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to find us on the internet, we are at podchaser.com/bitstorm. That's the best way to find all of our latest episodes, all of our stuff. Although you can also go to 8bit.net/bitstorm. Is that that's the address, isn't it?
That's the address.
Because we are also part of the 8-Bit Collective, a group of podcasts around gaming and other related activities. So go check out some of those great shows as well.
Search Facebook for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network, or look on Twitter for @AJP Network to find all the latest information about the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network, of which we are part of. And finally, we'd like to thank the awesome band Kuridas for the use of their song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
Yeah! So, thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. Hey mate, there's some fucking portals over there.
Hey mate, chuck me a portal gun. I need to get a beer out of the fridge.
Can't be fucked getting up.